Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to our session. I'm very, very excited to be able to host this career panel with some very special, wonderful information security leaders here at CyberX today. First, I want to say thank you so much to CyberX for having us here. So I'll introduce myself briefly. I am the president of the IAC Squared Toronto chapter. The chapter is a chapter of IAC Squared, which is a international organization based in the US. It does issue certifications in information security, such as the CISSP, TCSP, and the rest. We, as a chapter, we hold events locally here in the Greater Toronto area, and nowadays it's virtual, so anyone can tune in across Canada and the world. We service over 1,700 members here in the GTA, and the group is open to everyone. So very, very thankful and grateful to be able to have this session at CyberX's event. This is such a fantastic conference. I'm so glad to be a part of this. So thank you again, Mehdi and the team for this opportunity. And with that, I'm going to start off with a little bit of an introduction of our panelists. I'll start with Rachel Guinto. Rachel Guinto is AVP of Information Security Risk Management. She is a seasoned information security leader with nearly 2 decades in the financial services sector. Her roles in Scotiabank, CIBC, the Ontario Pension Board, and currently at Manulife have included positions in leadership, security governance, and operations. She also volunteers time in the CIO Strategy Council advisory committees, which support the creation of national and technical standards for Canada, and sits in the advisory board at York University's Cloud Computing Strategy program. She also holds the CISSP and CISM designation, a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the UFT, University of Toronto, and a diploma in computer programming from Centennial College. She's also very active in the community, as you have probably seen her speak in the community before. I'm very thankful to have you back, Rachel, on this panel. Thank you so much. I'll now move over to, I'll now introduce Melissa Carvalho. She is the Vice President of Identity and Access Management in RBC. So she is the Global Cybersecurity Vice President leading the bank's enterprise and customer identity and access management group. She has a team of over 200 security professionals providing cyber solutions and services for RBC's 80,000 employees and 16 million clients. She's a results-driven professional recognized for successfully delivering critical high-risk initiatives for large organizations. And throughout her career, she has developed and implemented identity strategies to promote organizational growth and improve operational efficiency, including implementing identity programs in Canada's 5 major banks and consulting of over 50 IAM programs across North America. And she's also very active in the community. As you can see, you might be able to see behind her, she's also a Canadian ambassador for Women and Identity. I won't go into too much detail. I'll let Melissa speak about this fantastic organization shortly. But Melissa is, of course, also very active in the community, and you probably saw her speak earlier in the conference as well. And last but not least, I would like to introduce Anna Fukushima. She works in information security governance, risk management, and compliance in the public sector. She, having worked in network and information security for telecom companies, consulting services for banking, mining, and telecom, Anna is passionate about promoting security awareness in her work and with the general audience, including parents and children. She volunteers as a board member with the IAC Squared Toronto chapter. Yes, she's on our team. And also she volunteers with the IAC Squared Center for Cyber Safety and Education as a mentor with Hispanitech and Asaga as well. So also very active in the community. Anna holds the CISSP, CISM, CDPSC designations, a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science, and a certificate in Cybersecurity Management from the University of Toronto. And with that, I'll take a breath and I'm going to ask a question to our wonderful speakers here, just to for the audience to find out a little bit more about us. What is, so I'll start with Melissa. What is your favorite part of your current role? What is your favorite part about it?
So I love growing the people in my team, but maybe I'll focus on my Women in Identity role. So Women in Identity is a not-for-profit organization, and we're focused on promoting parity. What we believe is digital solutions that are used by everyone should be built by everyone. So if everybody's using these systems, we need to think about diversity and inclusion. And I absolutely love meeting individuals and helping promote their career journey. So that's just a little bit about me and what I love.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Same question, Rachel. What is your favorite part of your current role? roles?
I would say probably my team. I have a team of people who are much, much smarter than me, so that's always helpful. And so the collaboration that we have, the openness and the, our ability to generate ideas and see them through and work together to do that and empower each other, that's the part that I like.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Yes, so much collaborative work going on. It's one of my favorite parts as well about this industry. Over to you, Anna. What's your favorite part of your role?
I would say that it's exciting and working with diverse projects that is affecting lives of a lot of people in Ontario. And there is some stressful days, of course, but I get a lot of joy and such satisfaction of knowing that I'm protecting the information of a lot of people.
Thank you so much, Anna. So without further ado, we'll jump into our first prepared question, but note to the audience, if you have any questions, please do feed them through. The CyberX team will feed it to us as well. So I'll definitely keep an eye on those. But just to start off, we're now going to discuss a little bit about those who are looking to enter the cybersecurity field. So, and I'll start with Anna first. Any advice you can give to someone, especially to women and non-binary folks looking to enter the cybersecurity field?
I'd say if anyone that is entering and don't have any knowledge that they can study, and this you don't need to take any certification in the beginning, but this is something that will help. You need to be in mind. You need to keep in mind that this is a field that you need to embrace learning. So that's any constant that we know about cybersecurity, that you need to learn all the time. The technology change all the time. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. And one of the things that helped me, and I believe it could help you as well, is finding a mentor. So someone that is already in the field and that has experience working in cybersecurity for some time and that is a leader in the field, I believe you could benefit from it. And one of the things I can promote the chapter is that we have a mentorship program that is open for everyone. You don't need to pay anything for finding a mentor. We'll match you with someone that is already in the field. So you just need to join the program throughout our chapter.
Thanks for the plug, Anna. Thanks so much. I know, Melissa, maybe go over to you. What are your thoughts?
So a couple of thoughts I have is, I think you need to build on what you're good at. Cybersecurity is one of those fields where there is so much opportunity. We know a number of things. So number one, we know there's a shortage in cybersecurity. Number two, we know that as organizations go to digitize more of their solutions, the need for cyber professionals is growing higher and higher. And what we also know is the hackers out there, they don't necessarily always have a computer science degree or a certificate. They don't have PhDs in cybersecurity. They understand real world problems and they take advantage of vulnerabilities. And so I think if you're passionate in this field or passionate in what you're doing, there's an opportunity for you. If I were to think of 3 areas of advice, one would be don't doubt yourself. Many times women often doubt and they think they need to be perfect to enter a certain space or to speak on a topic. And I don't think that's necessary. We all have doubts. So that would be one area. Another area would be network. Events like these, IC squared, it's so important to network. Number one, you learn from each other. Number two, if I look at the postings throughout my career, the job postings in my team, chances are the job only gets posted when we've run through our network and we can't find somebody who would be hired for that role. So your network is really important. And then finally, give back. Even if you're not in cyber today, giving back, teaching others, gives you an opportunity to learn a little bit more and for us to get to know you. So I think giving back is really important.
I agree completely. And also I want to plug Women in Identity. This is also a good group to network in. Network everywhere. Just go ahead, Rachel. Sorry for interrupting.
No. Yeah, just to add to what Melissa said, when you network, make sure you try to learn something along the way, ask questions, and make your intentions known so that people might think of you at a, it's when you network, people are afraid of that word often, but really all you're doing is making connections and having conversation, right? That's really all it is. And that can be done at your workplace if you're, working now but trying to break into cyber. It could be participating in a project and observing and asking a few questions, because there's likely a security person on that project team, and finding out what their role is like and what other things are happening in security. The visibility you might have into security might be very limited, and you may want to explore other areas because it is a very, very broad field. People think it's one thing, it's many things, and identity itself is a huge portion. um, and that's just one part. And you don't have to necessarily be, a network specialist. There's other areas, there's governance, there's less technical roles. So, exploring and finding out and trying to participate where you can to, one, to expose yourself to what kind of work that is being done there, but also to make connections. And, it's another type of networking so that you meet people in the field and get your name out there.
And so essentially making friends. For example, I made friends with Rachel because I met Rachel at a chapter meeting one day. I met Melissa at a women identity meeting, and Anna applied to the chapter, so that's how we met. So all these, there's so many amazing opportunities out there to connect. But also, maybe we can pause a little and talk a little bit about the technical versus not technical, because I know there's a lot of questions around like, oh, what if I'm a non-technical individual transitioning from a non-technical field, right? Any advice, and this can be to anyone.
Maybe I'll start.
Yes.
So from a non-technical perspective, maybe I'll focus on that. There are so many opportunities. So if I look at a number of individuals that we've hired in our team, we have a change organization in our team to start training and educating people on cyber technologies. And that often requires you to take really technical concepts, but simplify them. So you don't need to understand the technical concepts. But if I have 200 people in my team, but over 80,000 people in the organization. And identity and cybersecurity is all of their responsibility. And train all of those individuals because they can't be cyber experts. If I think about the testers in our team, the testers go out there and they're using their analytical and their understanding skills to validate that something's there. They don't need to be technical to do that, but they don't have to have the background in it. The BAs in the team, some of the strategists in the team, you don't necessarily need to be an engineer or have a computer science background to go into any of those fields. Those are just some examples of some non-technical areas.
Yeah, I would add to Melissa, because cybersecurity is so vast. There's so many different type of jobs that, for example, even for a marketing professional or communications professional, there's something that you can do at cybersecurity, because, for example, we have incident response team, and someone needs to communicate. For example, if your company has a breach, you need someone that understands and will speak about what happened. So a lot of technical people don't have the communications background, and if you need to speak to the media, you need to have someone from communications, for example. But if you would like to enter the field, there's another specific one that you can work with, for example, training or a lot of other things that you can do and transfer your skills. As Melissa said, for example, someone that has that already worked with accounting, for example, you have there's an audit field that you can follow. So there's a lot of you can work without having any IT knowledge. But you need to study, of course.
And adding to that is also, developing a good understanding of risk, because that's the objective. We're all trying to manage risk, and that's not necessarily a technical issue, right? It's something. It's more a concept, and understanding what is the goal, what is the bad thing that we're trying to prevent. And it could be, very simple things. One of my early roles was to check that the IDs that were supposed to be removed after 2 weeks, after the 2 weeks that somebody left, that it was actually done. That's not a technical thing, but it's understanding what the objective is and what the risk we're trying to prevent behind that.
So thank you so much. Before we move on to, I guess, talking about career progression once someone is in the cybersecurity field, I just wanted to call to the audience. If there are any questions, please don't be shy. Just let us know any questions that you might have. I'll keep an eye on those. All right, so we can move on to advice on career progression for women and non-binary folks. Perhaps we'll start with you, Rachel. Any advice you can for career progression from you?
For career progression, I think you have to consider that you may need to take lateral moves. It's not always about moving upward to gain broad knowledge of security. You can opt for being a specialist, but it's not something you have to decide too early. It would be good to get a broader view across a few domains, and that will help you strengthen your overall knowledge of how everything works and how all the pieces fit together. Also, for your own career progression, which we already talked about a little bit, was your communication skills and being able to translate those technical things into something that a business person can understand. And often that's about the risks we're trying to mitigate and the goals we're trying to achieve. So building up those skills, both technical and the soft skills, will help you along the way.
Agreed.
Maybe
Go ahead.
I'll add a little bit to that. So I like the idea, Rachel, of being open to change. Laterally, even sometimes taking a step back and going into a different field or a lower field, maybe leaving the organization, changing it around a little bit. So I've noticed a lot of that in the career progression. Another thing is just being open to opportunity. We can't always plan out our future. It doesn't always work like that. And if I look at my profession or the area I've been in my career, I've actually grown a lot by just riding the opportunity. Something happens and I take advantage of that opportunity. And then finally, I think one of the pieces of advice I would give is be open to feedback, but don't take everything. Take in what is right for you. I think sometimes we lose our own identity by just trying to listen to all the feedback we get overwhelmed, and then we're not actually who we are. So you have to listen to feedback and make sure you're only incorporating what makes sense for you.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just commenting because feedback it's a great way for you to work on your weakness and build from there. Another thing I would say is that I said this before, but learning is another thing. So as Rachel said, that if you can make a lateral movement, you'll learn along the way. And I think there's a lot of things to learn, even if you are an expert or management or a generalist. So there's something that everyone can learn. I'd say that keep you up to date, because it's not just about cybersecurity, as Rachel said, it's about risk. And the risks are not just the cybersecurity risk. There's a lot of other risks that will affect your job as well. And this is something that I think you can build and work on your career progress, being an expert or generalist or any other type of career that you would like to focus.
Agreed with all of the above. Thank you so much for all your wonderful points. One thing that I really want to also point out is the fact that as you move in your career and make those lateral movements and learn more about the field, you're also building relationships, right? And you're meeting more people, and that goes back to the whole notion of networking. Maybe there'll be opportunities to get more opportunities. So it's such an exciting and ever-changing field that there's always something new to learn about and progress into. It's fantastic. We do have a question from the audience, and I'll leave it open to anyone on the floor. So I'll read verbatim because they have a nice compliment for us. Hello, great panel and session. Thank you. My question is, what opportunities exist for independent consultants who are looking to partner or subcontract in the cybersecurity field and not in an employee capacity? Anyone, it's a free for all.
Maybe I'll start because I spent 12 years of my career as a contractor in cybersecurity. So 20 years in identity and access management, 12 of which was a contractor. So I'm a perfect example that there are opportunities, and because of our career shortage shortage in professionals, we are looking for all types of individuals. So independent consultants, the contractors, partnering with organizations, and full-time employees. And in some cases, it's easier for us to hire contractors for a short period of time than it is to make a business case or justify hiring somebody for full-time for many, many years. So I think there are a lot of opportunities. I know that in many cases it is the network and having those conversations. We don't always post the opportunities. So it's good to network with individuals. And then finally, something I did forget to say in my intro at the beginning, and my peers did ask me to remind everybody that we are looking for people to hire at RBC. And so definitely reach out to them, maybe not myself, but reach out to them for those opportunities. So absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can't add anything directly because I haven't been in that position, but I have hired contractors who were not necessarily in the cyber field, but we needed a business analyst, for example, for certain for setting up processes and documentation. So it was more important that they had those kinds of analytical skills and could translate that with a business team, because we had a project where our partner was a business partner and we were the technical team. And that enabled that person to be able to put on their resume that they participated in a cybersecurity project, right? I've hired PMs or people who were previously PMs who did similar things where they gained the experience and the knowledge with some mentorship too, being a PM in a cybersecurity project. So there are ways to gain the knowledge and the connections, again going back to the relationships, so that you can prepare yourself when that opportunity comes up.
I'd say the same thing as Rachel, because I have never been in the same position as a contractor, but the company hired several contractors and independent consultants, and some of them chose to be independent consultant for years. Some of them were hired by the company, but it's the same thing as if you are a consultant in your field and it's not cybersecurity, there's opportunities for you the same way that Rachel said, as a PM or any other field, any other role. And you can choose if you would like to continue being independent consultant or not, or if there's any opportunity open that you can apply. So there is opportunity for everyone.
For sure. And I've known I know some individuals who actually created those opportunities for themselves. They went out, they studied cybersecurity, and then through networking, they were able to get clients and get the practice, hands-on practice of whatever, and applied what they learned in real life. A little bit about my backstory. Someone mentioned accounting earlier, and I was like, wait, oh, that's me. I used to be an accountant, but in the small company that I used to work at, there was a lot of opportunity for improvement in the cybersecurity realm. And I was able, as I was studying cybersecurity, I was able to apply and build cybersecurity awareness programs and write the policies and do tabletop exercises. Very exciting. So there are opportunities like that out there. Sometimes you need to create them for yourself as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I don't see any more questions right now, but please keep them coming. So I'll revert back to one of our questions from before. So I'll start with Melissa. Could you provide an example of a challenge or an obstacle that you've experienced in your career, and how did you overcome it?
An obstacle I had was I was told that I could rise, so that I could get to the next level, and all I needed to do was A, B, and C, just a couple of things to get to that next level. And I did them. Not only did I do them, but then I did them over time and proved that I could sustain it. And yet I never got to the next level. No matter how hard I tried, and no matter what discussions that I tried to have with my manager, I never really got there. So it's almost as though I was hitting that glass ceiling. I finally went in and I said, okay, what is it? And I was told I'm not smiling enough. And the reality is that was just a poor excuse. There was no feedback. There was no example. Nobody was having the straight talk conversation or the radical candor conversation with me that said there just might not be the opportunity. And so I finally had to stop and realize that it just wasn't going to happen for me in that organization, and had to kind of move on and try something different. And opportunity came. I think it's really important that if you're a leader out there, to be honest with people. You're going to lose them anyway if you're not honest with them. So it's really important to be honest with individuals. And if you're the person in this position, I would recommend just keep trying. Try not only in your organization, but try elsewhere. I think opportunity does exist, but you need to be open to it.
Yeah. I'll add that for myself, and probably for a lot of people, the challenges are the ones that I created for myself, mostly. And it varies. It could be anything from thinking that having a family and having a career was an or, not an and. You can do both. You don't have to, but you can. And those are self-imposed types of challenges. Things like not thinking that I could make my intentions known, that I wanted to be considered for a promotion because I was on maternity leave, and almost counting myself out, right? And then those things are where you're saying no to yourself before you've even let the other person say no to you. So, there's a combination there of first putting yourself forward and taking that risk, and whatever happens, happens. And you just learn from the experience. And then the other part of it is making your intentions known. And not doing that is often how somebody else makes assumptions about what you may or may not be able to do, or may not be able to handle. So before somebody does that, make your intentions known.
So for me, I believe it's a little bit different. I think because I'm a very introverted person, I had it's as Rachel said, maybe it's a challenge that you create for yourself. So for me, it was difficult to speak up during meetings, and being English my second language as well was something that was most difficult than if it was my first language. But I joined a group called Toastmasters that helped me with public speaking, and it was not just about public speaking, but it was more about building confidence to speak up. And sometimes I heard that for women, it's much more difficult to speak. So I'd say for everyone, that's something. If you are very, I don't know if you are introvert, or if you are unsure about anything. So I think you can just speak up and bring your ideas.
Awesome. Thank you so much for, go ahead, Rachel.
No, I think sometimes also it's just, especially if you're already in the field, and depending on how you feel about your own technical knowledge, like I'll be the first to tell you that network makes my head hurt. It's not something that I am totally comfortable with. However, you have to get comfortable with asking, okay, can you explain that to me in a different way? Because I didn't quite get it. Right. And getting past those little things where you're afraid to show that you may not understand something the first time, and you just need it explained a different way, because that's going to impair your learning. That's going to impair your own growth. So, try not to do that.
I think, Rachel, that's so important. I can't tell you how many times I just put my hand up there and say, I don't understand. And people write me saying, thank you, I don't understand either, but they might be too scared to ask that question.
Yeah.
I think I see a lot of questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Coming up.
I'm seeing.
So from a chat session, let's see if we can ask some of these questions. Wow, there's a lot of them. So what do you think the impact of augmented reality and virtual reality in cybersecurity awareness and training space? I don't know if anybody has any commentary on what those questions look like or what to that, just augmented reality and virtual reality, the cybersecurity awareness and training.
Well, if that means, turning the training into virtual reality, that actually sounds like fun, rather than the regular computer-based training. So I don't have any insight to that, though, other than it sounds really interesting at this point. I hadn't heard about that.
I'd say that it depends on the company culture, because there's some companies, for example, I have working for different employers, and there's some of them that are more open to new technologies and new things, but it depends on the company culture. And I think the age is something. For example, a company that has more a startup, or some companies that have more young people than for example, I work for a company that is more traditional. Maybe in-person training for them work better than some using new technologies. But I would say that it depends on the company. Some of them would love something like that, or maybe I don't know. It depends on the company, I would say.
And I don't have any commentary on that question, but I'll try and go to the next question in the chat. So somebody's posted amazing and work and discussion. I'm new to this field, but I'd love to know what criteria for certificates I should be looking into. And I'll try and answer it first, and then I'll open it up to the others. I usually don't recommend certificates. I don't recommend certifications usually or initially. And the reason that I don't initially recommend it is because I look for what people want to do. What are they interested in? And then I help try and tailor their career growth and their path towards that, as opposed to pushing people into certain areas. But if I were to push or recommend any certificate, it would be the ones from IC². But I'll open it up to the others, just in case you guys have any additional commentary.
Thank you for saying about IC². I would recommend IC² certifications. That there's many others organizations that you can look for certifications as well. But as Melissa said, it depends. It depends on the role. It depends on your career goals. But I think for me, certifications would help in my career, because they are recognized worldwide. Besides all the education that I had was in another country. So for me, it was something that helped me, I think, here in Canada. But I believe studying for certification, you are studying about something in our field. So I believe it's a way of studying, but you can learn from any other, I don't know, on the job or any other without being a certificate.
Yep, I'll agree. Another plug for CISSP, but it's not the only one. Although it does give you a very broad view because it covers all the domains. The other thing to consider, which is related to your job, is there something that you should focus on specifically for your particular role if you want to get deeper into that role, and there may be things that you want to specialize in as well. Whether it's on the network side or if it's cloud or something like that. And it all depends on what you want to use that certification for. Getting it for the sake of getting it is probably not the best idea. Getting it with a particular goal in mind will also make you more motivated to study and keep it up, because it's not easy. A lot of these certifications take a lot of effort to study for and pass the test, and you're doing this while you're having a job, and maybe you're managing a family and studying for something else all at the same time, right? So ideally align it to whatever your career goals are.
Perfect, Rachel. So thank you. I'll move on to the next question. So is there any recommendation on a way to gain experience or knowledge before actually applying to the job, or do you prefer learning on the job? I don't know if either of you want to jump in on that question, or
That is back.
maybe I'll
There
go.
is,
Okay, go ahead,
yeah,
Rachel.
go ahead. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, when I'll take it from a manager's point of view. When I hire, I consider that there's an element that of learning the person's going to have on the job, because if somebody is overqualified, they're probably not going to stay too long anyway. So there's that balance of having the skills necessary for the job with enough room for growth as well, and building on what you learn in that job. To gain it in advance, I think we go back to where the relationship building and networking is, and so that you ask and learn from somebody who's already in the role about what it's like, what do they focus on, and figure out where that role fits within the organization, and pick up the best that you can before you get there.
And all I was going to say, Rachel, is I think if you wait to learn everything and be perfect at everything, you won't be applying to a job. So I think there's an expectation that you're jumping in with, expectation that you're going to learn a little bit when you're on the job. And if you join and you take something that you know and expand on it, then there's always the opportunity. But I'm not sure, Victoria or Anna, if you have anything else to add to that.
Hello. Thanks for having me back. The occupational hazard of this of the virtual world. Absolutely. I don't want to repeat what was potentially said before, but rather to have the confidence to just go for it. Apply to that job if you think you can have it, even if you don't qualify for 80+% of the requirements, because not all those requirements are set in stone. Hopefully, I'm not repeating, but I'll go to Anna to weigh in.
No, I'd say the same thing. I saw some statistics that men apply for a job even if they don't have 50%, and women only if they have 80% or more of the job description. So even for us, for women, I think looking at job description, if you think you can fill this role, and that this is something that it's for you, and you don't tick all the boxes, apply for it.
And meet people from the organization so you can learn more about it, and make those friends so that they know to expect your application as well, so you can get past that barrier, the application system barrier.
Yeah, that's true.
I think we left 3 questions left, Victoria, on the chat. Maybe I'll jump in with the question for continuity. So I keep hearing there's such a shortage of workers to fill positions, but most postings I see have 100+ applicants. How do you get shortlisted, especially when you're changing careers and are self-learning? I think if I jump in
I'll add something there to that one. One is, if you can, apply early, right? The other part of that is you don't know the quality of the candidate, so don't judge just by the number. So it's a competitive field. Yes, there's a shortage, but don't use that to count yourself out. go in and apply anyway. The other thing to consider is how long that's been out. Maybe they're struggling to find the right candidate and it's you, right? Maybe it's because you didn't apply yet. So, yeah, I fear sometimes that people are finding they find more ways to say no to themselves before they've even tried.
I agree. I think people get excuses for creating opportunity for them. So if you think that the position is for you, I think, as Rachel said, you don't know the quality of the other candidates, and sometimes it's the company, or I don't know if it's the role, but there are some roles that you can see that people don't apply, but it depends on the company and the role. But I think if you apply, you know, you need to take chances. So that's the only way. They know you already know.
And it's about the relationships you build as well. So sometimes a posting or a resume just doesn't cut it. It's about how you make that relationship with the manager or the people in the organization. In many cases, it's not necessarily meeting the manager, it's just having relationships with people that are their peers. And that's another entry in. So really attending events like these, the IC Squared chapters, having those, building those relationships is a perfect way to get into one of those opportunities.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Volunteering helps with that. Go ahead, Rachel.
And one of the other things is, building a good reputation for yourself wherever you are as well, because we move around too. The person that you work next to today, maybe they move to another company and can become a referral, right? And that's some of the ways where you can get shortlisted. And it's keeping those relationships and maintaining them.
Absolutely. And there's a few more questions, and actually new questions as well coming in. So let's we only have 20 minutes or less than 20 minutes. We'll try and get through as many as we can. But thank you, keep them coming. So there's a quick question about internship opportunities in the cybersecurity fields within our specific organizations. So perhaps a quick hot take from Rachel and Melissa.
Most of the ones that I know of are through the co-op programs, through the schools. Outside of that, I'm not sure what those would be. So those are the ones that I know of.
So in addition to that, I know that RBC has a partnership with Ryerson for not necessarily for adult students to get in for internship opportunities. There are some opportunities, but we definitely post those opportunities for internships.
Anna, any additions?
Yeah, I forgot to say at the beginning of the presentation that I'm not representing my organization, but I know that there's a lot of opportunities. And as Rachel said, through the maybe the colleges or the internship programs, I think you can find something. There's a lot of opportunities for everyone.
Sure, thanks, Anna. And I also only represent myself, just my own opinions here. I'm not representing the chapter either, but yes, my opinions are my own. So next question from the audience is, how do you make time for learning while working? Ooh, this is a really good one. Do you have any advice for living a balanced lifestyle while in cybersecurity? Anyone, go for it.
I don't know that I'm a good example of a work-life balance, but learning opportunities, it's through events like these. When you come to speak at something or you attend a conference, that's how I make the opportunity. I don't know that I found in the last number of years, at least, that I have the time to sit down and just go through pure learning for a day. It's usually an hour here, an hour there. I find it really difficult to take a whole day out and just focus on learning. But that's just me. I don't know about the others.
I think if you're trying to study for a certification, there's a lot of planning that you have to do and buy-in that you might have to get from the rest of your family to be able to do that, right? Hopefully you have the support at home. And that's one of the ways that you have to consider taking it on. It shouldn't stop you if you really want to. I think you'll focus on it and get it done. The balanced lifestyle, I'll pass on some advice that I heard from an executive back at Scotia when I was there, and I think it's good general advice, and it was that you don't want to try and be. This is comparing it to grades in school. You don't try for the A+ for everything all the time. So what you need to consider is that sometimes you are going to be maybe a B- wife and an A+ cybersecurity professional, and sometimes a D+ mom, right? That's how it's going to be. And so what you're trying to balance out is averaging, say, a solid B+ along the way, right? You're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. There's going to be different things coming at you, whether it's home or school, and the balance is not something that's constant. It's something that you do a little bit every day to keep yourself sane. You have to remember yourself as well, but not have those high expectations that you're going to be perfect at everything all the time. That's not possible, and you will exhaust yourself from trying to do that.
Yeah. I'd say the same thing as Rachel, because if you are taking any studying for any certification, you need or studying I don't know, a master or any other thing that you are planning to study. I think you need to take this time from another thing. So, for example, if you are, I don't know if you are, for me, for example, if I'm cooking every day, then you need to ask delivery for some days, and for the days that I'm studying. And for example, if I see anything that I think the question was also why working. So even in my day-to-day work, if anything comes up and I don't know anything technical that come up and that is during my work, so I try to get through this right away. So if there is some new vulnerability and any new thing that come up, I go and read, and I think even during the work, because if it's something that you are working and you need to know, you need to study this.
And I want to add that some roles, or many roles in cybersecurity, are 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 8-hour a day roles, but many of them also are not. So it depends on also the field that you're part of. Some roles are on call, like myself right now in incident management. It's an on-call role, so it might be long nights or early mornings, whatever it may be, but some roles are not. So it really depends also on the field that you're in. Some hours are flexible, some are not. So yeah, looking at the time, 12 minutes to go. Next question is a really, really important one. So thanks for raising it. How do you recommend negotiating on packages and offers, especially contract offers?
Maybe I'll jump in on this one, just having been a contractor for so many years. Most organizations have a rate card. It's a standard rate card. And so you can't really negotiate much either way. That's the rate card that's being offered for that role. The same goes for full-time positions. There's usually a level. And so it's difficult to negotiate for these things. What's really important is understanding and educating yourself on that. But that's what I've seen. We rarely, at least in my entire team, allow for that negotiation. We rely on those standard rate cards. That's just what I've seen in my experience.
And just wanted to add as well, there's some positions that if you're coming in as a newcomer to the industry, you might be offered at the lower end of that range, for example, and knowing what that range normally is, what that average is really important and powerful, because at the end of the day, you should be paid what you're worth, what your position is worth elsewhere. If you're working this quality of work here, you should be paid the same way as what you're worth. So it's a very important question. So thanks for raising it, anonymous person. Okay, I'll move on from that question if no other comments. Question for myself. Thank you. What courses modules did I do to transition from accounting to cybersecurity? So some backstory. So when I was working at this small accounting firm, I was doing accounting things, audit things. It was all very great. There was some events that inspired me to study up on cybersecurity, and serendipitously, there was York University had come out with its inaugural program for cybersecurity. So your certificate in cybersecurity fundamentals and the advanced certificate, where I teach now, which is very exciting. So I joined that course. It was a part-time program, and as I was learning it, studying through it, it was based on the CISSP designation, so the IC squared certification, and I went through the program. It was 10 months. Then I took a month a focus study, and I did the CISSP exam. So that was my my theoretical education. I was also really interested in having cybersecurity be my full-time job, but as I was job searching, I wasn't getting very not getting much traction for a while. So I thought I'd pivot into information systems audit. So I pursued the CISA designation in ISACA. But while I was studying for that designation or certification, I was lucky to have the opportunity that put me in a full-time role. So that's my journey. Thank you for the question. Also, please do connect with me on LinkedIn or on Twitter. It's if you have any, I'd love to continue these conversations. But any other, I guess, advice, journeys, I'd love to open it to the floor as well as to how you came to be in this field.
Well, for myself, I mean, at the time, security was newer. I actually didn't know what it was at that time, and I really was lucky to be in the field. I was 30 and had changed jobs, not just jobs, but careers, complete direction. I used to be in media and advertising, not at all in the technical field. And I took I went back to school to study development because everything was going online. That was during the dot-com period. Of course, that's how I lost my job. I was downsized because our website was canceled. And so I took that opportunity to try something new. And my sister had taken the program, and she was able to get a role at Scotiabank at that time. And they were open to having me in as an intern. And that's how I started. So, coming from a different field at a later stage of life, it's a risk I was willing to take myself in a different direction, recognizing that technology was growing, and by chance I ended up in security, which was also growing too. At that time, it was really focused on access control. That was the big thing way back then, 20 years ago. But I've been lucky to learn so much as the field has grown, and been able to be willing to learn along the way and just accept that I didn't know how this all worked, and take different roles and move laterally and connect with people and learn how they do their jobs. And we were all just learning together because the field was so new. So, I've been quite lucky that way. But, for those of you who are thinking it's too late, it's not. It's been done, and it will be done again.
Thanks, Rachel. And Melissa, Anna, next, I'd like you both to share your stories and how you came to be in cyber. Go ahead, Anna.
Okay. For me, I think I don't know if I mentioned before, but it was through my mentor, was mentorship. And I was in the same company that I was working. I was working in IT, was not specific in cybersecurity at all. And my mentor at the time, he told me about the security certifications that he had, and about cybersecurity in general. And also he gave me the opportunity to work in a security-related project. That was the one that I started my career in cybersecurity. And my next role was in cybersecurity full-time.
And for me, I was in my teacher's college years, so I was going to become a teacher. Was walking around a career fair with my friends, and IBM, and I'm going to show my age here, but IBM, I approached them, and they were saying they're starting off their cybersecurity practice. So I guess I'm showing a little bit about how old I am for a big company like IBM. They were hiring 2 students, and they offered me a job, and I thought, well, let me just try it, and I can always go back into teaching. And so I joined IBM. They had a great education or training program. I went on one course in identity and access management, and I became an expert. They put me out there to consult other companies. So it was a little bit overwhelming. It was trial by fire. And Rachel, I can tell you, identity is still hot 20 years later. It's still in demand field. There's a lot of work in it. But I just learned along the way and just took the opportunities as they came.
Yeah. But even that's changed. It was really just access control. A lot of it was not about identity yet. So that's the development of even a domain within security.
That's true.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to appreciate from all the stories is the courage that you've all shown in going into cybersecurity. It's a big, scary field, and it's changing every day. And there's a related question in the chat, so I'll get to that one in a moment. So I just wanted to say thank you for taking those steps, the first scary steps, and being able to now, continually inspire the rest, including myself. So thank you. There's 2 questions. Okay, we'll do one last one, and then we'll do a closing piece of advice from everyone. So this last question is: cyber is of course an enormously broad and varied field. How do we come to decide which areas we are most interested in? What type of roles that we wanted to pursue? And anyone, Rachel first, maybe.
I think that's something that you have to find the answer for yourself as you try different things, and that's the benefit of moving laterally. It's an opportunity to learn what you're best at, and that might be something that's more on the technical side, or maybe more on the risk side, or governance, or something that's more suited to your talents. And you have to just explore and be willing to be open and observe what works best for you. Where do you thrive?
Focusing on the strengths. Go ahead, Anna.
No, just saying that I agree with Rachel, because you need to find out what you are good at and what do you like most, because for some people it's more technical, for some people it's more because, for example, for me, I really enjoy reading and working in risk management, governance, compliance, and reading about the laws and regulations and all the things. And I think it depends. I think it's you need to figure out for yourself what you like the most and what you are good at.
Yeah. There's also a lifestyle component, and Victoria, you alluded to this earlier. There are some jobs that are on call, and that might not suit your lifestyle. And then there are other jobs that are more structured. When your day ends, and those are things to consider. I wouldn't put those necessarily as things to stop you from trying those roles, because it is a good idea to have a mix of governance type of experience and operational type of experience to make sure you understand both worlds. But yeah, that's another consideration, is lifestyle as well.
Maybe I would just add one thing, and it's going to the latter portion of the question of what advice I would give to kind of support leaders as we're moving forward. And it's really just get to know people and figure out what they're really good at, their strengths, as you said, Victoria, and figure out how we can guide and help them into the opportunities that might exist in cyber, because us as leaders, we know the different areas and we can help build on that for other people.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. For the closing statement, I'll just ask for one line, one sentence from each person, or even one word of advice that we should carry away from this session, because we talked about so much. Rachel, you first.
The only thing that comes to mind is to keep learning, right? That's how you grow for yourself. That's how you connect with other people, to see how the industry changes, how your role changes, how you change, right? And your aspirations. It's okay that the goal you had a few years ago isn't the same. That's all right, right? You can adapt and change and maybe use what you've learned in cybersecurity for another area, right? There's always benefit to that too.
I would say take chances. Just jump right in, take chances. It can't hurt.
I would say the same thing. And I heard a sentence this week that I think is summary this. It's a nice one. It's don't wait for your ship to come in, swim out to it.
Amazing. And on that inspiring note, that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you all so much, Melissa, Rachel, Anna. Thank you so much for taking the time and continuing to inspire the many individuals who are interested in cybersecurity or are currently in cybersecurity and looking to progress. And CyberX, thank you so much for having us on. On behalf of the ISC2 Toronto chapter, thank you very much for hosting us. Thank you for having this fantastic conference. We're really looking forward to the last sessions coming up tomorrow. And thank you all again so much, and to the audience for coming.
Thank you.